Have you ever wondered what the best way to fuel your workouts is? Well, I'm Pat with Infinite Fitness, and I'm going to cover that today to make it nice and simple for you. Workout nutrition can sometimes get overly complicated. The first thing that I want to say about adequate workout nutrition is that the best thing that you can do to fuel your workouts properly is by having adequate nutrition throughout the day. What that means is eating adequate protein, eating adequate carbohydrates, eating adequate healthy fats, and making sure that you're eating balanced meals throughout the day. The main reason why this is the best workout fuel is your body cannot digest things immediately. So even if you eat a great meal right before, during, or after your workout, it's not going to fuel you the way that a balanced nutrition diet will throughout the day. So the best thing that you can do for your workout nutrition is making sure that you're consuming anywhere between 3 and 5 or more balanced meals per day with protein, carbohydrates, vegetables, healthy fats, and making sure that you're doing that most of the time, 90% of the time ideally. Adequate workout nutrition can be broken up into 3 parts. That is pre-workout nutrition, intra-workout nutrition, and post-workout nutrition. Now, the reason why it's important to cover this before we get into each stage is that each stage influences the following stage. So for example, if you consume a large amount of carbohydrates in your pre-workout nutrition, you don't necessarily need to consume a large amount of carbohydrates in your intra-workout nutrition or in your post-workout nutrition. So every stage of this process will influence the next stage. We'll break down some of the nuances in that, but before we get into each stage, I just want to cover the fact that there are 3 distinct stages and that they all affect the next stage. Let's start with pre-workout nutrition. The most important thing about a pre-workout meal is ensuring that it is the right size, that it doesn't cause digestive upset or negatively affect your workout. So you don't want to eat a massive meal 15 minutes before you walk into the gym, unless your body is absolutely used to that and that's the way that you train. For most people, eating right before you work out or eating a large meal right before you work out is going to negatively affect your performance because you're not going to feel great and you're probably going to be dealing with a little bit of digestive upset. So the first thing to ensure is that the meal is appropriately sized before you start your session. Now, when we break down the composition of a pre-workout meal, we want to ensure 3 things: that it has adequate protein, adequate carbohydrates, and adequate healthy fats. Protein is going to ensure that your muscles are going to recover during your workout. You want to make sure that you're fueling your body with protein throughout the day to keep your protein turnover positive. Carbohydrates are going to help fuel the session. Now, your body cannot break down carbohydrates immediately, at least fully, but your body does start to break down carbohydrates in your mouth. So eating some carbohydrates before your workout can have a positive benefit for your energy during the session. Eating adequate fats in this meal can ensure that you stay satisfied throughout your session. The last thing that you want is to eat something before your workout and then halfway through your workout you're ravenous, because then that is going to negatively affect your performance. Now, eating healthy fats will also ensure that your body is producing adequate hormones to keep your body healthy. Before we proceed, there are some people watching this video who are going to not have a pre-workout meal. They're going to be people that train fasted in the morning. If you are someone that trains fasted in the morning, there are a couple of options that you can utilize to fuel your workout. One is using some of the strategies that we talk about for intra-workout nutrition, which will be next. The other is utilizing what's called an EAA, or essential amino acid supplement. In the worst case scenario, having some type of essential amino acid supplement will give your body at least a little something to fuel your performance during your workout. Next up is intra-workout nutrition. Now, intra-workout nutrition is going to be adjusted for a few different types of factors. So the first factor is going to be how you fueled yourself before your workout. This is also going to be affected by how long your session is. So for example, if you ate an adequate pre-workout meal and you have a short workout session lasting 45 to 60 minutes, you may not need anything for your intra-workout nutrition. Now, on the other hand, if you ate a small meal a little bit further away from your workout, or your session is longer or more intense, you may want a little bit more intra-workout nutrition, and you might want a strategy for your intra-workout nutrition. Now, intra-workout nutrition can be covered in a couple of different ways. So the most important thing for intra-workout nutrition is adequate carbohydrate intake. If you are performing intense exercise, meaning your heart rate is pounding or you're doing hard strength training or hard cardiovascular endurance, consuming between 30 and 60 grams of carbohydrate for every hour that you are performing intense exercise is recommended. 30 grams would be on the lower end and 60 grams would obviously be on the higher end. What this is going to do is it's going to ensure that your session is adequately fueled. Now, the one thing that can also be added to intra-workout nutrition but isn't necessarily as mandatory is protein. So the reason why protein can be potentially beneficial depends upon how far out you are eating from your workout. So generally speaking, we want to be consuming protein every 4 to 6 hours to keep protein turnover positive. So if someone has eaten a meal 2 hours out from their workout session and their workout is going to last around 2 hours and they won't have the chance to eat immediately after, it could be beneficial to add some protein into this intra-workout mixture just to ensure that we're fueling protein turnover during the session. One thing to consider when we talk about intra-workout nutrition is fat loss. So say someone is in a fat loss phase and they consume 50 grams of carbohydrate through a sports drink during their workout. This could be potentially harmful to fat loss goals. Part of the reason for this is most of the calories consumed during a workout are not going to influence overall satiety or fullness. So if someone is consuming 50 grams of carbohydrate or 200 calories during their workout, it's not going to really help them feel full or satisfied throughout the rest of the day. So depending upon the type of person we're talking about here and the level of calorie deficit that they're in, drinking a sports drink or having carbohydrates during the workout may not be as beneficial due to the fact that it can potentially inhibit fat loss due to the extra calories consumed that are not going to lead to overall fullness throughout the day. Now let's talk about, last but not least, post-workout nutrition. Post-workout nutrition is going to be influenced by the previous 2 stages. So for example, if someone fueled their body during their workout with carbohydrates and protein, post-workout nutrition may be potentially influenced by this. Also, how far out they've eaten before their workout will also change the way that post-workout nutrition is handled. Now, there's a common misconception in the fitness world, and this has been around for a while, but the anabolic window. There was a period of time where people thought that if you didn't have something within the first 15 to 20 minutes after your workout, that you would lose a lot of the benefits that you got throughout your workout session for the day. Over the past several years, this has been debunked, and the anabolic window is much larger than people once thought it was. The general recommendation is that you want to be eating something within 2 hours after your workout. This can also, with a bit of nuance, be said in another way. You also want to try and eat something within 5 hours of your previous meal. Now, part of the reason why this is generally we want to be consuming some type of protein every 4 to 6 hours to keep protein turnover in a positive state. So having a meal within 5-6 hours at most of your previous meal is the other thing that you want to consider. This brings me back to the concept of pre-workout, intra-workout, and post-workout nutrition are all influenced by each other. If you eat 3 hours before your workout and you perform a 2-hour-long workout, eating within that first hour of being outside of the gym could be beneficial, especially if you're not fueling yourself with carbohydrates intra-workout or carbohydrates and protein. But when we think about the makeup of a post-workout meal, we want to consider a few things. One is adequate protein intake to fuel protein turnover throughout the day. 2 is adequate carbohydrate intake to replenish the carbohydrate stores that we just used during the workout. And 3 is adequate fat intake, again, just for proper hormone production and also for overall satiety. Protein, carbohydrates, and fats, or consuming an overall balanced meal is one of the best things that you can do within 2 hours after your workout. You don't need any fancy supplements. If you prefer a protein shake, you could have something like that, but simply eating a meal within 2 hours after you exercise is recommended. So let's look at the big picture here. The best thing that you can do for adequate workout nutrition is ensuring that you are consuming a balanced diet more often than not, meaning you're eating balanced meals throughout the day, you're getting plenty of protein, plenty of carbohydrates, plenty of vegetables, and plenty of healthy fats to make sure that your body is fueled at any given time throughout the day. Once you have that covered, having a pre, intra, and post-workout strategy can be beneficial depending upon the types of goals that you have in your fitness journey. If you are performing more intense exercise, having carbohydrates during your workout is beneficial. If you are performing more moderate exercise and you're fueling yourself adequately beforehand, you don't necessarily need to consume something during your workout. Each of these stages is going to be influenced by the next. The most important thing is that you create a strategy that works best for you and your goals using the tips in this video. To give you a brief overview of the 3 stages, pre-workout nutrition, you want to ensure that you're eating something that is adequate size so that you don't feel digestive upset during your workouts. You also want to make sure that you have some form of protein, carbohydrates, and healthy fats to ensure that you are fueled and satisfied during your workout. Intra-workout, any combination of carbohydrate only or carbohydrate and protein can be beneficial depending upon how long and intense your session is. Post-workout nutrition, simply consuming a balanced meal within either 2 hours of your workout or 5 hours of your last meal can be beneficial to ensure that you are recovering properly and fueling your body after your workout is completed. I'm Pat with Infinite Fitness. Be sure to subscribe to our channel if you learned something from this video, and also feel free to check out our website, Instagram, or Facebook by clicking the link below.